And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. In the past, we were all about the nighttime. The moon rising up, the wolves coming out to play, but today we're looking at the Daybreak. Today we're going to be looking at One Night Ultimate Werewolf Daybreak, which is a sequel to the game One Night Ultimate Werewolf from Bezier Games. It's a standalone game that can be mixed with the original, 11 new roles, lots of interesting things. Let's take a look. I'll show you the craziness. I'll see you on the other side. Here we have it set up for 5 players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's always the amount of players plus 3 cards of roles that are selected. They're shuffled up. People grab the role they want. They look at their card. They put it face down in front of them. And there's always 3 extra ones in the middle that nobody has seen yet. Now the object of this game is there's 2 sides. There's a villager side and a werewolf side. The villagers are trying to kill the werewolves, and the werewolves are trying to get a villager killed. It's that simple. So what happens at the beginning of the game, there's 2 phases. There's a night phase and a day phase. During the night phase, everybody will close their eyes, and either the script or an electronic app will help you through the night phase, because some of these roles do special things. Now we also have each of the roles that's in the game gets a token out here, and they're quite numbered from 0 to whatever, and the lower the number is the order they're actually going to do their roles during the during the night phase. Now see, some of them have letters, and that's because this game can also be put together with the original game, One Night Ultimate Werewolf. For example, we see a 5B here for an apprentice seer. That's because in the original game there was a 5 which would happen before the apprentice seer. That's why you see some letters there. So essentially in this case we would go in this order. Some of them don't have numbers, and that basically just means that they don't have anything that happens to them during the night phase. So let's go through and show you how this might work through a script or with the app. Now the app is really cool because it allows you to select both the original game's characters and this Daybreak's game's characters. You would select all the ones that have night phase actions. And there's all sorts of settings. You can change the narration from male to female. You can change the different background music to wolves or dramatic or upbeat. You could change the game timer, how long it takes for you guys to talk through things in the day phase, how long each role has to do. It's pretty cool. Let's just show you that if instead of saying it out yourself, the script could do this. Let's just show you what it does for one role.
Everyone, close your eyes. Sentinel, wake up. You may place a shield token on any player's card except your own. Sentinel, close your eyes. Werewolves, except for the Dream Wolf. Wake up and look for other werewolves.
So essentially the script would go through all the players that are actually in this game, and then everybody would wake up. Then starts the day phase. This is the phase where everyone just pretty much starts taking these tokens and saying who they say they are. And then this is where the majority of the game is played, and it's pretty much played all above the table. For instance, this person might say, hey, I'm the apprentice seer. I got to look at this card, and I say this card was the curator. Someone else would go, I'm the apprentice seer. You're lying. You're clearly a wolf. I think you're a wolf. And they would start fighting back and forth. And this goes on and on as information gets leaked out a little here or there, and you're trying to figure out who you can trust. Then, towards the end of the game, during the timer, everyone gets to vote. They get to point at somebody. If the majority of the fingers are pointing at whoever the majority of fingers are pointing at, that person dies. If it's a wolf, the villager team wins. If it's anybody other than the wolf, the wolves win. If it's a person called the Tanner, only the Tanner wins. But let's go through these roles and show you what they do. The Sentinel gets to put a shield token on somebody's card, and then that person, nobody can mess with that card. They can't move it, they can't look at it, and things like that. So you pretty much stop someone from messing with that person's card. The Bodyguard, at the end of the round, when everyone points, whoever he points at does not get killed. The person with the second most amount of points gets killed. This is real good. You have a lot of power at the end of the game to really make your choice known. The Apprentice Seer, in the original game there was a seer that got to look at 2 cards in the center or one of any other person's. She just gets to look at 1 card in the center, but it's still good information. Let's look at some of these wolves here. The Mystic Wolf and the Dream Wolf. The Dream Wolf keeps, so at the beginning of the game, when it's time for the wolves to see each other, everyone's eyes are closed, and the wolves typically get to look up, open their eyes, and see who the other wolves are. Of course, the villagers don't know who this is. In this case, the Dream Wolf will keep his eyes closed. The Mystic Wolf actually will get to wake up and look at any other one player's card. Now, when the other wolves, when the Dream Wolf's eyes are closed, he'll put his thumb up so that the other wolves get to know who the Dream Wolf is. Paranormal Investigator, this person gets to look at up to 2 players' cards. If he looks at a player's card and it's not a werewolf or anything like that, he just looks at it and puts it down. If it is a werewolf or a tanner, he has to put it back down, but he has to stop. He can't look at it anymore. And that's the Paranormal Investigator. We also have the Revealer, where at the beginning of the round, the Revealer simply flips someone's card. If it's not a werewolf or a tanner, he leaves it face up. So when the round starts, everyone will know that this person is the Paranormal Investigator. Where if he flips up and he sees a wolf, he essentially flips it back face down. So at the beginning of the round, he can be trying to call this person out, and that will get kind of interesting. And then we also have, in this round, we had the Witch. And the Witch will actually get to, if they want, look at one of the cards in the center, and then swap that card with anybody else. And it could be themselves. They could swap themselves back in the center with that card. And then that's pretty much what the Witch does. The Village Idiot gets, if they want, to take everyone's cards except their own and pass it to one player to the left or one player to the right of them. So everyone's going to be changed except them. Wow, what a lot of chaos. Now the Alpha Wolf, this person gets to make somebody else a wolf. There's typically 3 cards in the center, but when you're playing with the Alpha Wolf, another wolf of any type, a regular wolf from the other game, or the Dream Wolf or the Mystic Wolf will get put here face down perpendicular. And when the Alpha Wolf wakes up after the werewolves go to sleep, he will give this wolf card to somebody else and swap it, not look at what this new card is and put this. Now this card is now part of the center, so any of the rolls that can look into the center can actually look at this card now. That's what the Alpha Wolf does. The Curator gets to pick a person, and he can pick himself. He will place one of these cards, one of these tokens at random. We won't be able to know what it is, and he would put it on a card at the beginning of the round during the night phase. Now these are 6 different sort of random things that will happen to that person. For example, it could be the Mask of Muting, meaning they can't speak. The Void of Nothing is just simply nothing. The Shroud of Shame means basically they have to face his chair in the other direction, and they won't be able to basically see what's going on at the table. They actually have to point that way too at the end, which is kind of hard. We have the Brand of Villager. We can basically, this makes you a basic villager. This one makes you a werewolf, and this one makes you a tanner. Now the difference between the tanner and a werewolf is the tanner only wins if the tanner himself is killed. So he's really trying to get killed but not make it too obvious. And the werewolves, you just become a werewolf. So there could be a lot of different role changes here with the Curator. All right, well, there's One Night Ultimate Werewolf Daybreak. Now, I recently did a video of the top 100 games of all time. One Night Ultimate Werewolf, the original game, was in my top 10. That's how highly I think and thought of that original game. So when I heard about this coming out, I was really excited. Does it live up to it? Is it good enough? Well, first of all, I'm glad that this isn't just an expansion, that it can be played on its own, because, you know, people have heard about these games, and if they go to a store and One Night Ultimate Werewolf is sold out, they can get this and play it by itself. Now, I think most people that buy this are probably going to already be fans of the original game, and they're probably just going to mix them in with the old rules. So how does this work? What do I think about it all? Let me go through some of the rules that I thought was really interesting. Well, there's obviously 3 different wolf rules. We had the Alpha Wolf, the Mystic Wolf, the Dream Wolf. All of them were interesting. The Mystic Wolf's cool because, you know, when you get a little bit of information of who is what, that will give you some, you know, makes the wolves a little bit stronger there. The Dream Wolf putting a thumb up, I mean, you don't get to know who the other wolves are, so that makes it a little harder. So one of those makes it easier, one makes it harder. Of course, the Alpha Wolf making more people wolves, puts the wolves in the favor. This game's interesting because not only with the Alpha Wolf, but with some of the other roles like the Curator and the Paranormal Investigator, people can become wolves. We had one game where, like, I think even a majority of the table, at least half or maybe one more than half, was werewolves. And it was crazy to have that out of balance. In fact, the werewolves actually lost that game, unbelievably enough. But anyway, so we have the Apprentice Seer who got to look at one role. I liked that. I thought it was cool. I actually even liked it even more when you mix that role with the original Seer from the original game, because you have 2 people that are looking possibly in the center. Did they look at the same cards? Between the 2 of them, did they see all 3 cards? And then it's a good, interesting to see which ones they saw, who they said it was. A lot of interesting things that can happen in those dynamics. The Paranormal Investigator was really cool, where you're looking at a role, and if it's a werewolf, you become that werewolf and you have to stop. interesting of whether you can see, hey, I saw this person. Boom, done. Or you can be like, I didn't look at anybody. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, you looked at the one and the first one you saw was a wolf. Or I looked at one and then I stopped. Because sometimes you're going to want to stop and they don't believe you. But you have some information. Very interesting things that can happen with that role. The witch is kind of like almost like a glorified troublemaker. They get to see what's going on and then swap it with somebody else. Some good chaotic. I like it. I like it when things move around. Although I don't like it as chaotic as I say the village idiot. That role was a little too chaotic for my liking, moving everything around. It's just like, brrr, your brain will explode. The revealer was cool because, right off the bat, boom, this game starts off with hurdles. Like, boom, right away. Because someone's going to just point at you and go, I was a revealer. I just saw this guy. He's a werewolf. And then, boom, right away, they're going to have to combat that with he said, she said stuff. And it starts the game, boom, right away, like really good. That's cool. My favorite role is probably the curator, the one with all those tokens. It's awesome. And the coolest thing about this is there's 6 different things and you never know what they're going to be. But when you look at those tokens, you can bluff. So you can get the token, look at it, put it down, and spin around and pretend like you got the shame. But maybe you're the tanner, or maybe you're a wolf. And you can try to bluff everybody into a win. It's really interesting how you can mess with people that way. And the bodyguard I really liked. The last game we played the other night, I was the bodyguard. It was going back and forth between 2 people. My gut told me it was 1 person. It was split half and half. I pointed at one person that I thought was on my team, the village team, and he did not die because I protected him. It's like the reverse role of the hunter of the original game. So overall, I really love this game. Fans of the original One Night Ultimate Werewolf, I played that game I think over 60 times, and it started to feel not just samey because it's always different, but I was like, okay, I was ready for some new roles. And when this came out, here's the interesting. When you first play the original game, when you first play it, it's like you're learning all the roles, you're just learning what they do, and then you're learning how to really use them, and then you're learning how to use those roles to get out of things when you're a wolf, and like you have this learning curve that's fun to kind of get into. With this game, I felt like I was learning the game all over again, which for somebody who's played the game over 60 times, it's amazing because like the game is brand new again. And it's awesome, and you don't have to use them all at once. You can just mix in a few one here and there. And just because you know what the roles do, it takes a while for it to set in. It's like, ooh, how could I use that? And so I really love that the new roles are all good. They're fun. And it's going to bring a lot, hopefully another 50 plays into this until maybe the next one comes out, hopefully. Hint, hint. So overall, love the game. I think most people are going to mix this in with the old, but it can be played by itself. Great job, Bezier Games. Another great one of One Night Ultimate Werewolf, Daybreak.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.